Well, good afternoon, beautiful people of planet Earth and maybe not so beautiful people too. I mean, we can't all be beautiful, but I mean beautiful in lightness of heart and joie de vivre and spirit and manifestations and soul intentions and big agape love and fuck it, even us plain ones. We could be beautiful too. So, welcome to Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's the 31st of October, 2024, which means it's All Hallows Eve in the Northern Hemisphere. Technically, it's Beltane in Australia or in the Southern Hemisphere, but I'm going out in sympathy with the Northern Hemisphere. We've got a thunderstorm coming in 2 hours, which is going to mess up my vibe because I've got a statue of death out there who's battery operated and talks, and his skull opens and closes his jaws, and that's going to ruin our mojo if it rains. I've covered him up with a plastic bag and a raincoat temporarily, but I hope it doesn't rain here. The forecast says it's coming in 2 hours, so that kind of sucks, but pretty much from what I remember, we've had a thunderstorm every Halloween the last couple of years. So, in fact, 2 years ago, remarkably large one with very large hail. So I guess we'll just have to ride through the storm like everything else, every other irksome problem that comes our way on planet Earth, and handle it, babies. But I really did want death to, be on in his full glory, and I even put my Halloween top hat on him and with all the spiders, and he looks lovely. Anyway, poor Mama T. She tries. So anyway, I thought I'd squeeze another story in while I'm waiting for the children to start arriving. They'll probably start coming between 4 and 5. I told my neighbour down the road to not bring them till sunset because it's not really much fun. It defeats the purpose bringing them in broad daylight. The experiences, they're meant to be creeped out and spooked out and spook each other out with all their lovely little costumes. So I have no idea who that person is. Someone's just said, well, happy dang Halloween. But anyway, happy Halloween to whoever you are, cryptid creature. But anyway, it's a glorious, hot, late spring day, almost launching into early summer. And I'm happy. I've got my cauldron going. I'll show you a photo of my cauldron. This year's effort. I haven't put coloured water in it this year because I normally do, but I freshly painted the landing and I worry it might stain on the paint, which is only a few days old. So there is that. And what else can I show you? I had a visitor this morning. Oh, here's Mr. Death with his hat. Stuck one of Papa Lupa's cigars out of his mouth. Papa Lupa's annoyed I stole his cigar, but I'll give it back to him. That Manners cigar. So yeah, that's my general lunacy on Halloween. And then the other big thing that happened, I'll show you. No, that's the video. Can you see it?
It's not moving.
Big carpet python.
It's not smelling the air.
So I'm joking about how I've got Kundalini rising and potential of a, sexual partner coming. Maybe in 12 months' time, since it's Halloween, I have to wait for the space-time continuum. But anyway, I got all excited about that because, snakes represent sexual energy and Kundalini and sacral chakras and new relationships. So who knows? And then in the midst of all that, I had another visitor to the garden, a water dragon. He'd scurried up on top and was watching me cautiously. So I've had lots of reptilian visitors today. And then I was sort of following Snakey around trying to figure out where he is because I worry about him being here when the children arrive, actually. But around lunchtime, can you see him? He was under the house. We're actually right under the house, but he's crawled back up under the dragon plant, which he seems to like being under the dragon fruit plant. So it's kind of interesting too. And yeah, I'm fascinated with it. But I had thought that it had left sacred space and gone to visit some other neighbours. But no, it looks like he's here for the day. I'm not going to get rid of him. And I could get my friend who's a snake catcher to come over and move him. But what's the point? Like, my neighbour told me yesterday, or the day before yesterday, that there's a mating pair of carpet pythons because they were doing the deed on his back veranda table, which I kind of thought was funny and whimsical. So he said there's 2 or 3 of them and that are constantly hanging around our gardens. He said, I saw one in your garden when we fixed the fence on it. Damn it. So anyway, that one must have got annoyed with all the noise of the carpenter fixing the fence, so it's practically moved in with me now. I'll have to get used to it. It's a massive, big python. It's not going to hurt me, but it ruined Charlie's day because I normally let Charlie free range in the garden, and I can't because it'll just, and she's a goner. So she is completely oblivious to how much imminent danger she's actually in. Yes, the carpet python wants to Charlie. It's true, Charlie. He's after your assets, but not in a good way. He wants to devour you, inhale you, eat you alive. She says, Mama, stop putting fear into my sweet little innocent birdie brain. Just let me be happy. And don't worry, be happy, Mama. Okay, Charlie, let's not worry and let's just be happy. But it's a lot of stress because, like, that thing is so huge and they move remarkably quick. And, you know, it is what it is. So, anyway, let us carry on with my story. I'll continue reading from the Native American Ojibwa stories because I find them a bit more spiritually uplifting and less tragic and sad and grueling. And, you know, I was wanting to read ghost stories to you on this day, but I still haven't found that book, which is weird on so many levels. So anyway, we'll carry on with chapter 3 of The Healing Blanket. And I've only got about 2 hours because the children will come about 5ish, I think. So I'll have to read very quickly and hustle my, as I like to say in New Zealand vernacular, rattle my dags. So here we go, babies. Chapter 3, The Vision. Just going to partially close this curtain because sunlight's a good thing, but not when it's slamming me right in my eyeball. It's still not quite right, but anyway. Mother, I've touched the earth, vibrations of spirit and fluttering of eagles direct, and I know you are with me, Mejizikwe. And I'll just show you here. So I really think it's sweet how they've done this. Instead of a thunderbird starting off this chapter, we have an eagle. Just find that really magical, and that they put a lot of extra sweetness and heart into this. The vision came then. I'm going to have to put the aircon on. I'm freaking dying. Wait a minute. Mama T's always dying. When did I not die? Skaga. Right, because it's very hot today, and as a consequence, it's hot, and stuff in here too. So there is that. Just going to move my curtain moving tool that I made. So I have to get up and move the curtains. I like to make my life simple. Right, where were we? Let's start again. The vision came then, teaching him, telling him, showing him, helping him. Chinoodan looked up at coming clouds, then saw her stomping the ground behind the men throwing the rocks. The white men could not see what Chinoodan and Makunsi could. Unable to hear the stories of the red rock they held in their hands, the men in plaid shirts threw more stones and insults. Can't they see? Makunsi asked. When will they stop? Chinoodan moved closer to the sacred fire, turned to look, saw the red stone glowing, then saw her coming towards the group of white men. Just noticing my hair's all... It's clean, but it's buffy. I can't win with my hair. Calm your farm, Tanya Aarons. Calm your farm, you're doing the story. Okay, I will. I'll be good upon this. When they see the truth in our eyes, when the sun rises and they turn to look, only then will they stop. That's what the answering to. Because, segue about my hair. Because I do. Yeah, I know, it's annoying. Something awoke Makunsi in the middle of the night. He got up, checked the fire, then added more wood. He walked over to the pit and pulled the corner of the hide back. Are you okay, brother? It had been 4 nights since he had helped Chinoodan into the pit. 3 times before, he had checked on him. Always in the middle of the night, and always the answer, I am the same, you can go sleep. Little Bear bent low, asked once more the question, then listened with a sharp ear. A different answer came. It is done. Help me. I am ready. Hours later, Makunsi let the fire burn out. Careful that the medicine had been lit, that all was finished. He put tobacco down and collected his things. Chinoodan's body was weak, but his spirit was strong. Minutes before, while Makunsi shovelled the dirt back into the hole, when he had rolled up the buffalo hide and secured it to the truck, he thought about what his brother had told him about his vision. He took the stone out of his pocket, walked to the centre of the circled earth, held the stone passed to him by Chinoodan up to the early morning sun, and set it down as his brother had asked him. Makunsi was not afraid, but knew that what lay ahead for both of them would be difficult. He knew that White Buck waited once more. The hill Adrienne stood on overlooked the valley of trees. She could see for miles, the view enticing her spirit to stay, words wanting to be written. She stood on the grey rock, seeing all of the greens, all of the blending trees, and breathed in deeply. Great pines touched the morning sky. Leaf trees reached further in the distance, filled in spaces, created endless shadows. Each tree their own colour of green, each their own fragrance. A river ran through the middle, looking like a a great dark snake slithering through the dense green floor. Adrienne had spent the last 3 days in silence, sleeping on and off in the jeep, driving through the thick woods, stopping to eat at times, reaching inward, thinking, praying. But never once did she consider leaving this place. Feeling the high wind dance with her long hair, she remembered what Junudin had told her once. She remembered the teaching. Now, remembering her prayer ties laying on the front seat of her jeep, on top of the papers that revealed the railroad's neglect, filling the jeep with tobacco smell, she knew what she must do before she left. Indeed. The water or fire spirits will take your prayers, Junudin had said. Take them to a river and let them float away, or let the fire release your prayers. Adrienne walked back to the jeep. She quickly fingered her hair back into one braid. Don't bite his mama. No. And pushed her keys and medicine bag into her jeans pocket. She picked up her red tobacco ties and coiled them like a long snake around her neck and began climbing down the steep path that led to the valley below. She had come across this place in her driving, in her escape from Wabanumi Quay. But as she began the trek down the hill, as her knees began to ache, her thighs tighten, her white shirt dampen with sweat, she knew what she was really trying to escape. Rocks and roots, layered leaves and broken branches guided a journey that only she could take. The cool shade of the forest eventually lulled her into forgetting time and her constant effort. By the time she reached the wide, murmuring river, it was midday. Oh, what are you doing, cheeky bird? Looking up to the sun, Adrienne guessed that perhaps 4 hours had passed while she had followed the well-worn trail. What had seemed so close was truly far away. She stood at the edge of the river, sensing a beginning was upon her. Huge rocks dotted the edge of the swift moving water. A large, flat grey stone within the river's current beckoned her, and soon the woman, with prayers around her neck, began to step carefully across the river stones. The water spirits will take your prayers. Take them to a river. Let them float away. Which reminds me I should make offerings to the Fae today. Have a bit of time before the children arrive. It's a good day to make offerings. Beltane, actually. Right. Where are you going, miss? Where are you going? Stepping from the first stone was easy, yet the distance between the rocks grew. Adrienne paused, balancing on 2 footholds as water rushed over jagged rocks just below the surface. Still the grey rock called. She moved 1 foot to the next rock, unsteady, unsure. Measure, reach, move, pause. Measure, reach, move, pause. The river babbled, laughed at her, chided her. Who are you to practice traditional ways. Adrienne turned and looked back to where she had entered the water. Go back. Forget this. Leave this. But a little girl's face, framed with silky long black hair, reflected back at Adrienne from the sparkling water, asking her to stay. If not for herself, she would do this for Morning Star, for her native right. Adrienne touched the prayers around her neck, then stepped to the next rock. She moved carefully, slowly. The stones, wet in places, dry in others, took her further into the river's movement. Step by step, she manoeuvred across the river's current. Water music deafened the rest of the world, brought her further into the river's power. She crossed one rock, then the next, hearing nothing except the rush of the water, feeling nothing except the hurry of her need, wanting nothing but the movement the river promised. She nearly reached the last stepping stone. Looking only to the big grey rock of release, she did not see the thin slime on the stone beneath her foot, did not sense its false hope, could not stop her foot from slipping. Battling with rock and water, Adrienne lost and slipped suddenly into the cold water. Breath awoke, thoughts surrendered. River water dripped down her face as she struggled to stand in the shoulder-high river. Rocks unbalanced her. She blinked water from her eyes, blinked one moment from the next. Her feet could not find earth, could not find balance. Water stones tricked her once more, taunted her, chided her, just as they had Morning Star. Balance, stand, get up, balance. She tipped one way, then the other. Arms flailed to steady. Balance, stand. But the slight current, like a gentle push, moved her further, and the woman was down. Down under the wet cold. Adrienne longed for her daughter once more. Swallowing green water, feeling, tasting coarse bitterness high in her throat, she tasted her shattered heart. She is gone, Chinudin had said. I couldn't save her. No, Adrienne turned her back, walked to the window, to the table, to the crib, then in circles, faster and faster. Her heart pounded hard, loud, her breathing quickened, tears like broken glass cutting her. No! Struggling under the cold, numbing water, the memories sliced into her. Overpowered with the current, the mother no longer saw the son. Adrienne, listen to me. Morning Star is gone. Down, underwater, swallowing her. Down, inside another womb. Her womb. Down, caught in a cold river womb. The woman let the current take her. Feel this, Chinudin? He put his head against her growing belly. Do you hear the heart? Do you feel our baby? Down, imagining her daughter's terror. Down, how her little body had struggled against this cold, how her lungs had filled with water. "No, my baby, no!" Adrienne grabbed the papers on the table and threw them, screaming, crying, dying. She reached for her blanket and brought it to her face. Doubling over, collapsing to the floor, the mother sobbed into the daughter's sweet scent. And as the river deepened, so did she. Under the blanket, Adrienne stayed, searching with empty hands, feeling, crying, dying. Stay. Join your baby. Stay here. Escape the pain. Stay. Stay. Down. Lost. Where are you, little one? Morning star. Mama wants you. Down. The panic. The horror. The end. But the mother could not find her child. Morning star was gone. Push, Adrienne, push! The baby's almost here. Adrienne's lungs screamed, matched the pain of the last few months. Terror. Her head filled with pressure. Rocks hit her. Panic. Cramps spread throughout her body. Pain. Once more, Adrienne, the head is out. Black, beautiful hair. Abinogians. Baby is almost here. Push, Adrienne. Moving swiftly beyond her control, the woman nearly let go. Push, Adrienne, push! Earth bottom briefly touched her. Push, Adrienne, push! Earth, stones, earth bottom. Adrienne reached down, down, then pushed herself up, up, into sky farther, up into the breath. Oh, Adrienne, we have a girl. We have our daughter. Abinogians, Adrienne. Adrienne gasped, took in the great breath. Sweet, great gulps of sweet breath. Listen, Adrienne, she does not cry. Her breath is so soft. Feel her. She is life. Adrienne reached for the tiny arm as it too reached for its safety. Drifting with the current, head above, the woman reached once more. Reach for anything. Hang on. A branch, a rock, earth. Hang on. Life. Grandfather, Adrienne cried out, and she grabbed a jagged edge. Black hair rested on white skin. Tiny lips suckled in life from her mother. Sweet union once more, mother and daughter kissed life and joined. With wet prayers still coiled around her neck, the grieving mother clung to the dark stone and pulled herself up onto the great warmth, her head resting on warm mishumus, her tears falling silently on grandfather, her memory joining his. As her breathing slowed once again and wisps of hair dried into its blonde hue, she opened her eyes to the great breath above her. Flying high above the river, beyond the bend, 4 eagles circled. A canoe moved silently into the tributary that fed the lake, sides narrowed with watercress, deep led to shallow. Wabunungikwe lit the last of her sage, picked up the birch oar, and rippled little whirlpools of water. She knelt on the blanket, rested with awe on her lap for a time, and closed her eyes. Sage wafted through and around her, creating a circle of smoke. She needed this cleansing, and new sage would be a good gift for Miskwa Mikinakwe, a necessary medicine for her lodges. Is it the right time to gather, huh? The good time for cleansing, the elder had said when she had dropped her off. Miigwech for the ride, daughter. You go now, huh? We'll talk later. She had listened to her elder's teachings and finally to her inner self. For 3 days she prayed and asked for direction. At first it had burned in her, the resentment, the anger. But as time settles new stones on the bottom of the lake, she too began looking at her thoughts, turning them over, washing them in the sunlight of her mind. The facts remained the same. This she could not change. What is, she was told. But still there was something she could change. She began to paddle once more as sunlight filtered through the laced branches of shoreline cedars and mingled with the smoke. Wabanungikwe, that storm's impending, I may have to fix Mr. Death up because his bag's come a bit loose. I don't want his electrics to get wet. Oh well, it may blow past and I may yet have time. She cut through the relaxing sweet scent as though travelling through a flower, then listening to this mingling, paddling through quiet bubbling water towards the sage field, she saw the answer to her prayer. Aho, Mijiz, Buju. Mijiz means eagle. Wabanungikwe shouted and finally smiled. She sprinkled tobacco over the gentle water, welcoming, giving thanks, and knew this gathering was blessed. A tiny baby bird, transparent pink, with only a few tufts of plastic bags almost blowing off his head. I'll have to deal with it, I think. With only a few tufts of down on its head, lay on the forest floor. It had not yet lived, Adrian thought as she picked up the bird, cradling it in her hand. Pardon me. Why would a life begin only to never feel the winds it was meant to ride? Then, reaching up to the nearest crotch in the tree, the mother gently set the bird where it belonged. Oh. Adrienne walked slowly along the river to the place where she had seen the eagles. She knew enough tradition, had experienced It looks like he's got a condom hanging off his head. Oh, bless. I'll have to go and fix it. Anyway, Adrienne walked slowly along the river to the place where he had seen the eagles. She knew enough tradition, had experienced ceremonial wonder, to understand the sacred power of their visit. She had waded out of the slowing river, wet, cut, tired and bruised, not thinking, but following the beat of her racing heart down the river path, following the great messengers. She had quieted by the time she reached the meadow where she thought the eagles had circled. Her body ached as she walked through the waist-high grass. Clouds, like soft pillows, drifted above, while the green forest separated beyond into a powerful, life-laden world, a view far more eternal than what she had seen from high on the hill. Why does it have to storm on my one and only holiday that I celebrate, apart from Hanukkah, which goes for 8 days? Why does it always have to rain on my parade? You know I'm a real witch. You know I can get out there and make that storm pass us by. I can do that. I have the power. But, there's enough weather modification going on. I don't need to interfere with Mother Nature. I have the power. I've done it before for very important occasions, like my daughter's bat mitzvah, and another occasion when a TV show she was on was about to go to air and I wanted to videotape it. And this immense black, thundering, oppressive storm was blowing. This is when we were living out at Waterford West, and it was blowing through, and I was watching it, and we were actually in its path, right? And I thought, in about an hour, that storm's going to hit, and it's going to mess with this TV show. No, it wasn't an hour, because I was just about to record it. Anyway, I decided to go out, and I just said, go in the other direction, you can do your thing, but don't rain on my parade today. And it bypassed us, and I was able to record the TV show. The TV show was a quiz show she was on called Now You See It, and oh my goodness, she had the deepest dimples, my daughter. She still does. She was about 10 at the time, and every time she got an answer right, which was most of the time because she's intelligent like her mother, very clever little girl, her dimples would get sucked right, and she'd go, oh, it's the cutest thing. I think I've still got the CD because I had to convert it to a CD at some stage. I've still got it somewhere, DVD or something. Oh, I should watch it again, but then I'll cry because now that one's estranged to me too. So obviously I failed as a mother, am I right? I'm a shit kind of a mother. Both my kids have abandoned me. But anyway, I'm not. I was a wonderful fucking mother. And here's the proof. I even sent a storm off course so I could record her fucking TV show. But that was actually more about my ego than hers, to be fair. Because I wanted to preserve it for posterity. The posterity we're never going to have thanks to the COVID vaccine. Technology, bioengineered warfare, so I'm really pissed off. But I still have that lovely memory of my daughter. Oh, it's tragic when you think about it, what's been robbed of me. But anyway, instead I have a daughter named Charlie who I'm trying to protect from carpet pythons, and it's a big task, Charlie. It's a big snake. And I can't watch you all the time. Wouldn't take much for him to sneak up on you. And you don't fly. Would you fly if a snake came for you though? Would you suddenly get the urge to fly? Maybe. I can't guarantee it. She's basically rainbow lorikeet version of Kentucky Fried Chicken on a stick. Takeaway for a carpet python. Give us a kiss. Mama wants a kissy. Mummy wants a hug and $20 million, but she'll settle for a kissy. Kissy, kissy. Stingy bird. She's got to be in the mood. So fucking stingy though. You're a stingy bird. Do you know how many kisses Mama gives you? Oh, you're scared of the crow flying past. Well, anyway, it is what it is, people of Earth. Yes, now you want to give your sweet little baby bird and your little kisses. Yeah, show the people of Earth how you can be a sweet little baby bird. Sweet little baby. Alright, let's get on with the story. Where were we? Adrian. We read that. Dear Goddess. Yes, we're up to high on the hill. This is a sacred place, she thought. A place I would have taken you, Morning Star. Adrienne took the band off her braid and pulled her fingers through the 3 strands, blending them as one. She was tired and sore. Her mind, body and spirit like fringes. That storm's coming real soon, Charlie, because I'm watching how all the crows and the birds are freaking the fuck out. Let's have a look. It's looking okay in this direction. It was threatening there before. It's coming now from the southeast. Well, it ain't Halloween without a massive big hailstorm like we've had in years past, so just gotta ride that baby out. Babies. Yes, Charlie. Her mind, body and spirit like fringes sighed in the afternoon sun. The prayer ties were nearly dry again, still hanging around her neck. Following a ribbon of birds, she walked slowly into the meadow, watching the clouds collect and drift. Their movement hushed Adrienne's heart. Then, as she had once done with her daughter, Adrienne lay down, hidden in the tall grass, like a deer sleeping. Tell me what you see, little one. She looked up into the blue blanket, then yawned. I have come. I will listen. That's very odd. Alright, here we go. Don't you bite your mother. Do not bite your mother. Because I'll bite you back, you demon little bird. That's why. She's looking at me like, why can't I bite you? All my children are completely out of control. Well, never mind. Freedom to the people, am I right? I do value freedom beyond all things. Just don't like being bitten by my children, and if they are rainbow lorikeet children. The woman lay there watching shapes float by, eyelids getting heavy, learning the lessons of coming clouds. A bear taught her presence, an otter blending, a dragonfly of life's delicacy. Then, rising above all the others, billowing out, growing, a white buffalo formed, teaching her, telling her, showing her, helping her. The story came back to her then. It is said that long ago the people had a hard life, Junudin had said, holding their daughter on his lap. The people were starving when a beautiful woman appeared. Before she came, these people did not know how to live. There was great pain. There was no harmony, no balance. Adrienne knew this was more than a story as she worked on her beading at the table. She had heard bits and pieces before. She knew the Lakota legend and that it, like the pipe, had been given to other tribal people. Now it had become a prophecy for the Ojibwe people as well. Junudin rocked the little one, speaking gently as he stroked her hair. But this woman brought the sacred buffalo calf pipe to the people and placed her sacred mind into theirs. When she left, she turned into a black buffalo calf. Then she rolled over and turned brown. Next, she became red. Finally, she turned into a white buffalo calf. Those colours are symbolic, I think, of the 4 directions. Adrienne paused, then sat back and watched her husband rock their daughter. She knew he would teach Morning Star the ways, that she would continue the traditions. She wondered what it would have been like learning traditional ways as a child, growing into it as Morning Star would. Adrienne thought of her mistakes, her limited understanding. When the woman left, Chinudin continued. She promised to return. She said that the birth of the white buffalo calf would be a sign that it was near the time when she would return to bring back harmony and spiritual balance to the world. Now, as Adrienne lay in the high grass, her golden hair spread as a great fan around her, her sky eyes reflecting the brilliance of that above, she thought of the white buffalo that had been born not long ago on a farm. Was this truly a time of unification, of healing, of harmony and balance? But what of my pain, my separation? Clouds drifted over Adrienne's partially closed eyelids, bringing the moments before sleep. And in that space, between awake and asleep, Adrienne wanted to believe her journey had purpose, that her pain would have healing. Miskwa Mikanakwe walked into her home, feeling his presence. Bonjour, nephew. It went well? The man walked out from behind the curtain, carrying his bag of things, looking tired but clean. He walked over to Miskwa Mikanakwe and hugged his auntie. Then, pulling back, trying to look into unseeing eyes, Chinudin said, Yes, miigwech for letting me stay here. But tell me, she is here? Miskwa Mikanakwe nodded. That was all Chinudin needed to know. The blanket lay in the middle of her gathering circle. Wabanongikwe knew the sacred place well. Miskwa Mikanakwe had told her about it that first summer, when she was new in her recovery, when she had begun to learn of her roots. Sage is a sacred medicine for our people. Sage cleanses us, keeps us in balance, huh? The elder had said, holding a growing silver spear in her hand. Use it every day in your healing. But will it be enough to keep me from drinking? Wabanongikwe had asked. Only you can keep you from drinking. And now, 20 years later, having learned the ways, the medicines, the teachings from her elder, Wabanongikwe gathered as she was taught. Careful not to tear the roots out. Careful not to take one heavy with seeds. Careful not to take too much. Wabanongikwe collected the healing medicine in the soothing way, the elder way. And as her gathering circle grew into an ever-widening spiral, she noticed a deer bed a few feet away. Adrienne awoke to the vibrating sound. She knew it well. Hearing the humming, expecting to see Miskwa Mikinakwe, she sat up, but instead there stood Wabanungikwe, bundles of sage in her hand, her eyes wide, pardon me, like a frightened deer. Makuns began to heave the buffalo hide off the truck by himself, not wanting to disturb his brother. He had visited this part of Canada a few times before, attending ceremonies, helping relatives in need, but now they would travel back to the States, back to take a stand as Ogichida, as men. "Are you ready, brother?" he asked as he, Chinuden, approached him, ducking under the pine bough. White Buck and the others are probably there by now. Makuns, I have one more thing to ask of you. Chinuden looked serious, then nodded over to the hide, took an end of the rolled up buffalo hide still on the truck, while Makuns took the other end. Anything, you know that. Together they walked the hide back to Mishkwa Mikinakwe's house to rest under the roof of the woodpile lean-to. "Will you wait here? Find Adrienne? Put tobacco down and tell her." Makuns had not caught up with what Chinuden was saying. Adrienne? Here? As soon as his questions were answered, Chinuden gathered his things from the house, said goodbye to his auntie standing in the doorway, and started up the truck. Wabanungikwe broke the uncomfortable silence, first with unexpected laughter loosening into a smile. Wabanungikwe realised the way she must have looked, but did Adrienne know how she looked? Sitting upright, with red paper ties wrapped around her neck, sleep close to her eyes, looking for something, someone, anything other than what showed up. At first, Adrienne was shocked, then angry, but when the stifled laughter began, when the smile came, she too felt the corners of her mouth go up. Soon she was laughing. Together in the field of sage, the two women laughed until it finally subsided, only to begin again. "So," Wabanungikwe finally said, then giggled once more. "So," answered Adrienne, smiling softly. "It looks as though we are to share this field." Wabanungikwe sat next to Adrienne and looked up at the sky, her smile relaxing into thought. Silence fell once more, taking them both back to 3 days earlier. Wabanungikwe straightened her skirt, then finally spoke. "I am sorry. My anger was not for you." Both looked at the sky while wind danced the long grass. Wabanungikwe thought long before she spoke again. Now Adrienne had the patience for silence, for she knew it was born from a different place. Wabanungikwe looked at Adrienne softly this time. "It is for all of us, really." Sounded like someone's gate went. Adrienne struggled to understand, wanted to hear what this woman was saying. For the first time in 3 months, she wondered about someone else's pain, someone else's life. It can be difficult here, Wabanungi Kwe tried to explain. Living on the reservation is often filled with abuse, for abuse has been our inheritance. The woman paused, then feeling the sage in her hands, smiled once more. But these ways, are precious to our people. Being an Anishinaabe Ikwe, living in the good way, that is different. Anishinaabe means Native American person, and Ikwe means woman. Miskwa Mikinakwe helped me see that. I know I still need to heal, though. It is not complete. Perhaps never will be. For the rest of that afternoon, Adrienne learned of the woman with the dignified ways, and, like looking at a tree from its underside, she met Wabanungi Kwe for the first time, seeing the delicate movement of leaves, their hidden colour, the weaving, the beauty rarely seen. She heard poetry in her words, a whispered softness in her ways. Adrienne reached into her pocket and pulled out her medicine bag, the soft fringes whispering to her skin. Then, reaching in, she touched something she had thought she would keep forever. But now, here in this field, with the woman who had opened the wound, whose pain was now hers, she knew that they shared the same pain, life loss. Here, Adrienne held out her closed fist. I'd like to pass this to you. It was given to me by someone that I love very much. Wabanungi Kwe felt the love, the pain, all at once. Knew it was a treasure of this woman whom she had refused to let into her life. Adrienne handed her the little shell. I am told that your people hold this dear, that the great salt water in the east was once your home. Then, repeating the words that Chinudin had once said to her about the Magus shell. When you hold this shell, the rays of the sun will bless you with life, light, and wisdom. May it remind you of the great root from which your people grew. Adrienne paused, then whispered, May you heal and be healed. Wabanungi Kwe held the shell high into the sky, reaching out to the sun. Aho Miigwech. She closed her eyes and held the shell as dearly as Adrienne had years ago. Silent tears fell like dew off a petal. Then, finally, Wabanungi Kwe took Adrienne's hand, covered it with her own and said, Your blonde hair, the flag colour of the eagle to the east, and blue eyes, the colour of Sky Father, have made me search my heart, open my spirit, and now this is a special gift. I am honoured. Please tell me, what is your Indian name? The question surprised the white woman who wore prayers around her neck. Silently honoured by the question, her voice caught. I don't have one. Miskwa Mikinakwe placed food on the table, lit the sage and waited as Makuntz prepared the spirit bowl. He knew what to do, knew the ways so close to his own heart. He placed a sample of each food in the bowl, then returned it to the table and waited. Bonjour, Miguis Munido, the elder began. That's not pronounced right. It was stuffed up. Where was it where they taught us how to pronounce Miguis? Miguis. Bonjour, Miguis Munido, the elder began. Makunz watched the sage, helped it with the eagle feather as the prayer of thanksgiving continued. Then, as the prayer needed more, the sage nearly spent. He too added more, his fingers thinking this, doing this. The elder cried in the middle of the prayer. She cried into her words, her tears spilling love like lava from the earth. She cried for Chinudin, for what he must do. She cried for the Ogichida, for all her relatives. She wept for Earth Mother, who also silently weeps for her children's ways. She cried for the unborn children. And for the children of today. Miskwa Mikanakwe's words ended, yet the prayer hovered in her small house. While the elder waited patiently at her chair, the man with 2 braids walked outside and placed the bowl on the north side of the cedar tree. By the way, Bonjour Miguis Munido means hello, eagle spirit. This would be for Bear Spirit, his namesake. The old sister cedar grew on the edge of the elder's house, roots lifting out and into the edge of the river, laced branches offering cool shade. Then spotting an offshoot, dear goddess. Makunzi put tobacco down and gently bent the small branch back, peeling it toward him. 7 generations, she had said. The cedar would contain his prayers for his brother, for her, for the earth, but first they would eat. He would learn what had happened later and continued the prayer he lived. And then he would find Adrienne. He would put the cedar in his medicine bag and he put the cedar in his medicine bag and thought of his brother who now drove to meet his warrior brothers. The Ogichida would already be at the river. Chinudin had promised Adrienne months ago that he would get the facts she needed. Now it was beyond even that. Chinudin was heading for battle. Chinudin drove towards the trestle in silence. He knew it would be hard leaving the comfort of these woods, leaving his wife once again. So he drove slowly, delaying the exit, thinking of reasons he should stay. Thoughts of Adrienne, of their daughter, like his heart, echoed in him. So he listened to the echo makers, honouring the love, the pain. For miles he listened to his need for them. He listened to their voices, their touch, their silence. He listened to his heart's demands. Then, hearing the beat, he heard his own silence, and his vision, like a drum, moved him on. Go on the wind, speak your heart, be the wind, take a stand, be strong, wind, go. The truck accelerated down an empty highway. Trees still swayed, birds still flew, clouds still drifted. But Chinudin, he was now far ahead, leading the way. McCunts felt an urgency to reunite with brother Chinorden as he walked the river path to the field. The man with 2 braids carried his leather pouch to the circle. He must get the stone and find Adrienne. Purpose waited. McCunts neared the circle, thinking how Chinorden had known Adrienne was here. He had left the old paper with Misque Mikinakwe's address on the table, and as Chinorden gathered his belongings from his auntie's house, he had seen it. But before Chinorden had left, he had asked one last thing of McCunts. Put tobacco down and tell her my vision. Show her the stone. When she sees it, she will understand. I think we might get lucky. The storm might have passed us by. Maybe. They walked into the centre of the field, Wabanungikwe teaching Adrienne as they went. See the circle? She pointed to the outer rim of the field, her outstretched arm turning like spokes on a wheel. This is a sacred place to us. 4 eagles were circling overhead. I followed them here, Adrienne explained, more to herself than to the woman at her side. I saw one too. Why did you come? Adrienne asked, touching the soft, tall spears as they walked. This sage. Wabanungikwe smelled the sage in her hand, then pointed to the blanket. This is medicine. I am gathering for Misque Mikinakwe. Why are you here? Adrienne touched the string of prayers around her neck, closed her eyes, and finally spoke. My daughter, our daughter has died. Grass rippled the wind, silently, waiting. I couldn't talk to Chinorden. The grief has been so great. It has been so long since we have been together as husband and wife. Now he is gone. Wabanungikwe looked into the sky, understanding, a heart remembering a husband who no longer walks the earth, the child who was lost, the pain, the alcohol, the lasting sadness. Come to the circle, Wabanungikwe said, to Earth Mother. Her grasses wait to brush your sadness away. The women stood up and walked over to the blanket that cradled spears of sage. See this blanket? This is where I began. Here is where I gather strength. For the rest of the afternoon, they gathered sage together. 2 women, one with a braid of black, the other a new braid of gold. Eagles soared high overhead, over backs bent in the sun-filled circle, over hearts spilling of memories, both joy and pain. Now and then one would pause to comfort the other. Earth colours opened something inside the 2 women that had been closed for a long time. Maroon grass and silver white spears danced together in the soft breeze. Into the vast open space, Wabanungikwe sang with the spirit of a child from the east, filling the sky with ageless sound. Songs of life lifted into the great breath above. Songs of their people connected all that shared this breath. The gathering continued, the teaching, the honouring. And when the blanket was filled for another season, when the women had emptied their hands and their hearts, and when the sun prepared to set, the healing had begun. I wonder what that is, Wabanungi said, looking over to the edge of the woods. Both walked over to a circle of freshly turned up earth. Like a hawk, Wabanungi looked around her. First the earth, then 4 Mishumas rocks and remnants of a fire across from where they stood told her something of what might have taken place here. What is it? Adrian asked. A ceremony of some sort. She looked again at the 4 Mishumas, seeming to stand guard, then to the fresh earth. Perhaps a reconciliation ceremony. Maybe some remains of our ancestors were disturbed and now are at rest. Wabanungi looked puzzled, for she hadn't heard of such a ceremony needing to take place. Adrian walked to the edge of the earth circle, next to the eastern Mishumas, careful not to cross the separation. She saw something clearly in the centre of the circle, placed on another rock, a stone. When the last long rays of the sun hit it, she saw the glowing red, like a red-hot Mishumas. Instinctively, Adrian crossed the boundary, her heart pounding, her pulse speeding. What are you doing? You cannot go in there, Wabanungi warned her. Adrian did not answer, but went directly to the stone. She recognised it right away as she picked it up and cradled it to her chest. She knew that stone as well as she knew her own reflection. She had held it, had cried into it, had mourned with it. It was morning stars. She was sure of it, just as she was now sure Junudin was close by. She turned the stone over and over in her hand. She remembered the feel of the pyramid stone, its red and black layers on 4 sides coming together at a black point, its base a circle. Adrian, the deep voice came from across the field. Both women, startled, turned to look. Close to the place Adrian had entered, a few feet away from where a fire had been kept, the man with 2 braids stood, looking first at them, then at the fire circle, then back once more. The man said no more, but motioned the women over to where he stood. As they neared him, they saw him take medicine from his bag and sprinkle it onto the ground. Adrian recognised his bowed braids. Makunzi prayed quietly. Bowed braids? Bowed braids? Bowed braids? When they reached where he stood, Wabanungi quickly understood. She had heard of this happening only once before in her life. The sacred fire has begun on its own, Wabanungi whispered. Both women instinctively took out a sema and added their own prayers. The fire was small, a little flame on a remaining piece of wood. Makunz remembered the cedar he had taken earlier for Junudin for her. He sat down, took it out, tearing it in tiny pieces. He reached in his bag and found some birch bark. Again he shredded the birch bark into fine slivers. When he was done, he carefully added first the bark, then the cedar to the tiny fire. Soon he was able to add twigs and larger pieces of wood. There is a teaching that when the sacred fire begins in this way, a great healing will take place. Adrienne remained standing, gazing at the fire. She held the stone in one hand and touched the red prayer ties that still hung around her neck with the other. Wabanungikwe sat down, held the wrapped blanket, swollen with sage, near her heart, closed her eyes, and began to hum. Makuntz tended the fire, and the sacred fire once again burned with the breath of the Great One, beginning the ceremony. Chinorden reached the river in less than a day. By the time he arrived it was dark. Dark except for the fire that his Ogichita brothers kept burning. He parked his truck alongside the quiet road that paralleled the train tracks, a few feet ahead of the bridge and the trestle. He smelled the comforting scent of cedar, of the fire, as he walked down the road to greet his brothers. He heard the rush of water off to the side, past the dark bushes and grass that lined the road. This was the same river that Morning Star had received her stone, the same river in which she had drowned. As he approached, he saw 5 men standing around the fire. The light from the fire shadow danced on their profiles, revealing native blood. 4 he knew well. They had taken stands with him and Makuntz during the spring spear fishing. Together they had listened to insults and racist comments, yet stood strong to protect their inherent rights. But now it was time to protect more than their treaty rights. Bonjour, brothers, Chinorden said as he gave one a big hug. Aho, said one, then another. Quiet so far, said the man with the walking stick. He walked with a limp over to Chinorden, then gave him a hug and added in a soft voice, "It is good to see you again, brother." "But maybe not for long," the tall one added. "I heard talk." "What talk?" Chinorden asked, aware that the 5th man that stood silently beside the fire was white, someone he did not know. "Others might be coming. We may not be alone tonight." "Let them come," Chinorden said, and added a piece of wood to the fire. The Ginu River Bridge was no bridge at all, Chinorden thought now. 3 months ago, White Buck had brought Makuntz and Chinorden here to see for themselves. Under the trestle, this war veteran who pledged to protect the earth had pointed out the rotted wood and failing beams with his stick. Chinorden knew of the railroad's cargo, of the sulfuric acid going to the copper mine miles away, of other dangerous chemicals the trains often carried, of the numerous cities the trains went through. But he did not know the danger of the swift-moving river, that he would not be able to save her. Now, as he stood with the brave men of his tribe, he knew that all the courage in the world could not have prepared him for the pain of loss, of not doing enough, of not being enough. As the men continued to talk around the fire, Chinoodan's mind was not there. He had known it would come back at him, known he could not escape the remembering, but now he would face it, alone, without Adrienne. Here, in his silence, the night coloured it darker, and the agony returned. His brother's words were muffled. The fire crackled, and smoke circled with the shifting wind as he suffered from afar, watching the nightmare unfold. She was next to him on the river's edge, looking at stones. Here, Ninbaba, means father. Here, Ninbaba, pretty. She had handed him the stone. He had reached down, kissed her cheek and taken the stone. Still smiling, he had turned to look at the trestle. Only minutes later, he turned to pick up his daughter, to carry her back up the incline, to take her back home. But instead, he heard the water take her. He had cried to Makuntz, then dove in to save her. He searched and swam over and over and over, looking for his little one, unlike my father, who almost deliberately tried to drown me, am I right? Sad but true. Anyway, I was 4. Obviously, I didn't drown, but the look on his face, swishing me around in the ocean, knowing that I was gulping down water, was one of the most terrifying moments of my life, because he was almost like trance-like with this grimace on his face, like it almost wasn't him, like he was almost hoping that I would drown. Never fucking forgot that, as long as I live. This is what happens when you're raised by lunatics. Anyway, this father tried to save his child. Until finally, hours later, Makuntz had pulled him out, cold, wet, and numb. Only later did they find her body. Only then did he tell Adrienne. Do you agree, Chinoodan? Did you hear? What do you think? The tall one asked. He shook his head, coming back now, coming back through the pain. His brown eyes narrowed, his eyebrows searching to have heard the distant talk. We think that it is time to speak directly to the white people, the man explained. Let them know what is happening here, what could happen. They can come while the others are here and see for themselves, said another. White Buck hit the ground with his stick. I say we get the newspaper and let them hear us. What do you say? Another asked Chinoodan. There is someone. He took a bundle from inside his coat and laid it out before him. He unwrapped the buckskin. He was ready to put the pipe together once more, ready to return to his ways, ready to protect Ogichida. He would become the words of his father and protect Earth Mother. If not for Morning Star, then for the little ones yet to be born. It was time to be strong wind and carry the hope of Morning Star into the next day. They say it is beautiful there. There is no pain. There is no suffering. The journey will be good. Relatives will help. Ni ogishiku ikwe. Thus concludes chapter 3, the vision of the healing blanket. I've got to rush around and tear open all the packets of little chocolates that Margot Anderson and Dave Anderson, their little ones, provided for today's Halloween festivities. Quickly chuck them in a bowl because they're coming in half an hour. Bing bang boom, baby. Mama too better get with the program. I haven't even put on makeup, but my skin's very bad at the moment. I'm very sore. I've been picking pimples, and I feel like hell. So I don't think I'll wear makeup, but I'll put on my purple top hat and, get with the program. I've got my witchy broomstick earrings on. Can you see them? That my friend Jared made for me. And I probably should get out of this outfit. It's just a plain purple top and skirt, and put something more witchy on. But you know what? I don't care. It's too hot to be bothered. Last year I was all dressed up, with a long sleeve black velvet top and my underbust, and I actually got too flaming hot. So you know what? I don't care. And the little ones won't care. All they care about is that they get to have the excitement of visiting a real witch and climbing the stairs and seeing the cauldron misting and getting their chocolates, and that's all they'll care about. So it's all good. But yeah, I do need to finish off, get my hat and organise the chocolates. So have a wonderful All Hallows Eve, beautiful people of planet Earth and all other interdimensional entities, ghosts, ghoulies, zombies. No Dipplekeen allowed, but I'm sure there's a few of those floating around waiting for a host. But not today. And the Gene and the Fae and all the other spirits, the ancestors that love us, the lost pets that we love, they're all walking amongst us tonight. Are they not, Charlie? She says, Mama, you asked for a sign, and the sign was our carpet snake friend came to see us. Oh, that's nice, Charlie. So I'm quite bemused by all of that. Don't know what it means, but I'm bemused by it. So there you go. Anyway, happy Halloween, people of Earth. Remember, as always, stay magical, stay courageous, stay in love with your true beloveds and the ones that love you back in safe, wholesome, respectful ways, and the ones that have your front, your back and your sides, the ones who are always joyous and happy to have you with them in their company and delight in you, the ones who have eyes only for you, the ones whose eyes light up like volcanic light streams of joy and delight to see you, to be with you and to honour you and adore you. And don't worry about the rest. The rest can take care of themselves. We all have our own unique magic and bring our own joy and delight and mystery and wonder and awe to the Shulchan Aruch, the table set before us, the sumptuous feast of delight and holiness and love, light and peace, my darlings. Shalom, salam, peace. And on that note, that storm's swinging around, teasing Mama T. Don't you dare rain on my Mr. Death outside, because tonight is a very special night. You can just swing over that way or swing over that way, but not today at sacred space. Aho, Mama T has spoken. That's how I do it. It's really that simple. To be fair, correlation or causation. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes I have to put in a little bit more effort and do a little bit more of a sun dance. But we'll have the excitement of a storm, which the children will love too, and we'll cool the air, and it's whatever happens, happens, my darlings. So on that note, good evening from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm, or rather good afternoon, it's currently 4:27 p.m. My beautiful magical ones. Bye for now.